I think the truth is, I don't think AWDC could have picked a better topic for today's seminar. A lot of us grew up in an industry where we were believing very much that diamonds were the ultimate scarce commodity, that if you didn't have access to diamonds, particularly rough diamonds, you didn't have a business. What we've learned over the last few years is that finance in our trade is getting rarer than the diamonds themselves and probably more valuable as well. And we've become very dependent on diamond financing. I mean, the questions here are is this situation healthy? Are we getting too preoccupied with bank finance in our trade? Or do we need more credit? And if so, how? What is the relationship, if any, between profitability and liquidity? What is the relationship between what producers do with their rough prices and liquidity? How do we get more finance in Antwerp? So to try and discuss and explore these issues over the next hour and a half, we have a panel of some familiar faces that I believe we're very lucky to have today. Starting on my left, we have Kishore Lal from Standard Chartered, then Des Kilalia, and Sabine Smets from ABN-AMRO. Do you think, as things stand today, the industry needs more bank credit?
The constant discussion and themes about liquidities, if you actually look at the markets carefully, there seems to be a reasonable amount of liquidity where it is needed. Certainly for Standard Chartered Bank, for our major clients, I think we have been and continue to be with them. In terms of a broader question as to what's going to be the approach of the banks, I think that as the industry expands, provided there is a continuing increase in transparency and in openness, that liquidity will continue to flow.
Our strategy presently is to de-risk and optimize. What does it mean? It means we are looking at the actual portfolio, one thing, and will we sometimes exit clients? Yes, we did it in the past and we'll do it in the future. But it doesn't mean that we will further reduce our portfolio as such. What is of prime concern for this industry? It is transparency, bankability, sustainability, and profitability. That's just the top of the iceberg, ladies and gentlemen. And for all of that, we have to look internally. And I think this is what this industry needs to do, to look internally. Because we have to build together to a long-term, sustainable future. And will that be an easy road? I think we all know it will not. But if we don't start working on it now, then it will have its repercussions.
When the phrase that people use, whether it be called de-risking or rebalancing one's portfolio, as the banks have kind of taken a pause, if you will, and I'm speaking on a global basis, to gather the breath, the industry has not been just simply stagnant and waiting for the pools to open. They have re-looked at their business models. Many of them have taken much more aggressive look in terms of their overhead structures, in terms of the inventory control systems, and are now managing their business with a much lower level of bank financing.
I just want Des to quickly tell us how he thinks financial institutions in the outside world view our industry reputationally.
That's quite a difficult question. You deal with an unusual product. I mentioned at the start that a ton of iron ore is a ton of iron ore, an ounce of 4/9 gold is an ounce of 4/9 gold, an ounce of platinum is an ounce of platinum. A carat of diamonds is not a carat of diamonds. So it comes back to what Sabine was mentioning about indices and certainty about inventory. Obviously, certainty about receivables is important, but it's very small as an industry. This is sort of a boutique business. It's unusual, and so it's easy not to do it if you're a banker from the outside. You know, it's too hard to understand, and as we all know, when things are too hard to understand, often we don't bother trying to understand, even though there may be great opportunities within there. You know, I'm sure that the banks that are in this industry are not in it to lose money. They're in it because they think they can make money.
But there's been a dramatic change in global banking that really transcends the whole diamond industry. And that's the whole concept of compliance and reputation risk for, and I want to emphasize this is not a diamond industry specific issue. This is a global issue, but compliance has become a major force. But the industry needs to change. There really is no reason why a diamond company's financial statements should not look like and be as clear and have sufficient footnotes as that of a financial statement in any other industry. There's no reason for that not to take place. Greater transparency will lead to having more financing partners coming into the industry, and that will cause the banking industry itself to be more competitive.
I think that what transparency is and how easy it is to achieve is definitely a topic for future discussion. But the other important part of being bankable is for a business to actually be commercially viable and attractive. In other words, a business needs to be profitable. And one of the things that we're talking about here is that the current environment, and it could be a mix of things, I don't want to just put it all on the shoulders of the producers, but the current mix of things has led to manufacturer margin being thinner. But Sabine, let me ask you bluntly, if the current level of profitability persisted, continued, for the next 6 to 12 months, would ABN's banking policy towards this industry change?
We're often a front runner, and when you go back 2 years, you see in 2013, we stepped away from the 100% financing of the purchases. We lowered it to 70, and I know a lot of people in the market were not happy with that one. But why did we do it? Because we want people to reflect on the goods before they buy the goods. Because to elevate and to come to a long-term sustainable future, you need profitability. I don't know in the future how things will turn, so it's difficult for me to say whether there will be changes or not. I know one thing, profitability is key. So where it needs to come from, I agree with Kishore. I think we need to look internally, and diamantiers as well. Can there be a reducing of cost? Can they sell more with a higher price? Can they increase the price of the polished? Or does it need to come from reduction of the price of rough?